You are listening to The Brian Craig Show podcast, broadcasting from sunny South Florida. Brian is joined by his wife and co-host, Kathy. Follow Brian on social media at briancraigshow.com. And now, Brian and Kathy.
Welcome to the program, everyone. I'm Brian Craig, always joined by my wife and co-host, Kathy. Okay, today is like the biggest news story day in MAGA history, well, at least since January 6th, okay? Today's just a crazy day in the MAGA world. There's two major legal scandals involving the four top people in MAGA, okay? There's different scandals. So let's just do one at a time. The first is Bannon's Chinese dissident exiled friend that has that super cool song that plays throughout Steve Bannon's war room. I like that, when he, in the streets of Hong Kong, all that, you know what I'm talking about? Let's bring down the CCP. Yeah. And he walks around with the cat and he's on the yacht and all that stuff. And he's obviously a big supporter of Steve Bannon's, not just as a friend, but financially. He may be financing the whole war room for all I know. He plays his song coming out of every single break with the video. Well, he was arrested today in New York City by the FBI. Let me read this story. An exiled Chinese billionaire with links to Steve Bannon has been arrested by the FBI in New York over allegations he masterminded a $1 billion fraud and then splashed the cash on a yacht, a mansion, and other outrageous luxuries. The ones that they're listing here are probably the ones we see in the video on the War Room. I don't know how to pronounce the guy's name. He's got several names. I don't know how to pronounce any of them. They're Chinese. Guo.
Go?
I don't know, Guo Wengui, I don't know, was detained by FBI agents Wednesday morning over what they describe as an elaborate scam to defraud his legion of online followers through sham investments. He's facing 12 charges. The business magnate, who also uses aliases, including Ho Wan Kwok, spent the money on a 50,000 square foot mansion in New Jersey. That must be where he's walking through the hallway with the cat, a Lamborghini supercar, and a luxury yacht. And the luxury yacht's definitely in the video.
Yeah, the yacht's on the video.
Worth approximately $37 million. He also splurged on Chinese and Persian rugs worth $978,000, a $62,000 television set, a $53,000 fireplace log cradle holder.
How much was the TV?
$62,000.
Oh my goodness. I didn't know TVs got that expensive. And must be one of those big studio, theater size things with the whole setup.
And two mattresses, which cost $36,000 each, according to the FBI.
Well, he should have got the MyPillow mattresses. He would have saved a lot of money.
He could have gotten a 3-inch MyPillow mattress topper 2.0 for 40% off and free shipping with our promo code Kane. But, prosecutors revealed information about the elaborate fraud on Wednesday, along with extraordinary details about the luxury snapped by him. He's charged alongside a financial advisor, a Hong Kong and UK dual citizen who served as the financial architect. Okay, and it goes on and on, all kinds of stuff. By the way, Bannon, remember Bannon was arrested in May? Bannon was arrested on the guy's yacht in August 2020.
Oh, boy.
Yeah. Yeah, he was arrested, and the yacht is called. Okay, so the yacht is named Lady May, and Steve Bannon was arrested on the yacht in August 2020 when he got arrested for that "We Build the Wall" stuff. Okay, now I don't know anything about this guy, although he seems pretty cool. I like that video. I think the guy looks super cool. I like the song. He supports Steve Bannon, so that's also super cool. I don't know if any of these things are true or not, but what I do know is this, okay? There is no way that his connection with Steve Bannon doesn't have something to do with this arrest. So, like I said, I don't know if this guy's guilty of these things. I don't know if it's all true, but what I do know I do know this, that they hate Steve Bannon, they hate Donald Trump, and what this does is scare people who are good people from wanting to support Steve Bannon financially because they could come knocking down your door too.
Yeah, absolutely. Anybody associated with Trump or his inner circle, they're just going to go after.
Mm-hmm. And this guy here, although we don't know his financial arrangement with Steve Bannon, I think it's safe to assume that he's financing a large part of the war room since Bannon plays that song with the guy's video out of every commercial break on the show. So there's got to be a connection between Bannon and them banging down this guy's door and arresting him.
They're probably trying to, if he is funding it, which I'm sure he is, they're trying to shut it down. Yeah. Because they can't really get to Bannon's not the kind of guy, unlike Tucker Carlson, he's not the kind of guy that's going to back down. He's very tough, and he's the kind of guy who will say, screw you, I'm going to do whatever the hell I want. Mm-hmm. And maybe they're thinking if they get to the money, that's a way to end his show.
It very well could be, because other people are going to say, well, maybe I shouldn't be financially supporting Bannon. I don't want to get arrested either.
Scare them off, yeah.
It scares people off.
But he might be his only financial backer. There are people that have podcasts, not us. We just have you guys, which is great. But there are people that do podcasts and have shows that have like one financial backer that's really wealthy.
That's sugar daddy.
Yeah, I mean, we know who they are, and some of them, and they finance their whole enterprise, and they're like a silent. This guy's not so silent though; he's pretty out there. But sometimes they have a silent backer. Steven Crowder had one. You said a while ago. He had. They said he had a really rich backer that paid for his whole thing, because he really was a fan.
Yeah, that is true. And someone came in and took over the Blaze in the past from Glenn Beck.
We're open to that, by the way. We love you guys too, so we want all the support we can get. But
I'm not. I'm not opposed to having a sugar daddy or sugar mama support the podcast.
I might have a problem with a sugar mama.
Well, it's not that kind of sugar mama.
Well,
if you would like to advertise on the podcast, you can email us. There's a email link on my website, BrianCraigShow.com.
Any support's great.
But but there's definitely a connection between him supporting Bannon and the arrest. Okay.
Oh, I think so for sure.
So now there's another story. I mean, this is just MAGA is under attack. And the reason MAGA is under attack right now is because the campaign's starting, right? Trump was in Iowa over the weekend. So, it wasn't just that Trump was in Iowa on Monday night. He gave his Iowa speech. It was a spectacular speech. And people are looking at that and are like, oh my goodness. And I'm still sticking by my belief that Ron DeSantis is not running. But I got a call from a lady on the radio this morning, and then there's a national story that backs up what she says. I got a call from a woman on the radio this morning who said she had gotten a phone call from the Ron DeSantis for President campaign asking her for money. And my immediate reaction was, well, that was a scam caller, because there's no Ron DeSantis for President campaign. He hasn't announced he's running. He can't run while he's governor, et cetera, et cetera. Well, listen to this. This is a big MAGA news day, guys. I'm not kidding. Big MAGA news day. A Trump-aligned political action committee has asked the Florida Commission on Ethics on Wednesday, that's today, to probe Florida Governor Ron DeSantis. A 15-page complaint from MAGA Inc. claims DeSantis has launched a shadow presidential campaign and is using the shadow campaign to amass significant personal wealth and political capital. This is a pretty hardcore allegation. Taylor Budowich, the head of MAGA Inc., argues that, to the chair of the Florida Commission and a DeSantis appointee, that there is strong evidence that Ron DeSantis has engaged in illegal conduct. DeSantis, the complaint argued, is making moves. I'm sorry, guys. My allergies are really kicking me in the butt. Allergies are really
bad lately.
Pollen's really bad in Florida right now, and it's really getting to me, so I'm having a difficult time. DeSantis, the complaint argued, is making moves associated with getting his presidential campaign off the ground, such as hiring staffers and meeting with key figures in the early primary states, but is doing so at the expense of Florida taxpayers. They argue DeSantis is using his book tour as a guise for a presidential campaign
Yep.
And is receiving gifts associated with it, including hotel rooms, speaking venues, and food. Should the commission find that a violation occurred, it should impose penalties that include removing Governor DeSantis from office and disqualifying him from any future ballot in the state of Florida, a press release from MAGA Inc. says. DeSantis' communication director says that adding this to the list of frivolous and politically motivated attacks, it is inappropriate to use state ethics complaints for partisan purposes. DeSantis appointed 5 of the 9 members that currently serve on Florida's Ethics Commission. The move shows that those in Trump world are willing to play hardball against DeSantis, who Trump said on Monday probably represented the biggest threat to him earning the Republican nomination in 2024. Now, this isn't Trump going after DeSantis. This is a Trump-supporting political action committee.
Well, you don't think he's got some hand in this or knows what's going on? I mean, come on.
Well, Trump knows everything that's going on at all times, okay? So he knew, I'm not saying Trump doesn't have a hand in it. He may, but it's not an official Trump thing. It's not Trump personally. He may have found out about it in the news, too. He may have nothing to do with it, or he may have everything to do with it. But I'll tell you this. It shows you how nasty a campaign could be between DeSantis and Trump.
Yes.
And a campaign this nasty between our 2 top stars, in the end, is not going to serve us well. But in the end, Trump would win. Okay?
I blame, and again, I hate having to make these constant disclaimers here. And, DeSantis is a great governor, and, politics is politics. I understand that. And things happen, things get nasty. But I blame DeSantis for all this.
Yeah.
This is not Trump. We've all known that Trump was going to run. Right after the last election, we knew he was going to run again.
Of course.
I'm sure he told DeSantis back then he was going to run again. He announced last year or earlier this year, so we all know that this was going to happen. He said it's his last hurrah. This is it. So DeSantis, whatever is going on, and I think that his silence on this is a little, it's upsetting. But Trump seems to believe and know for a fact what's happening, and I'm sure people have told him. And but I blame him for this dissension and for this division that's happening with MAGA. But I don't think things are going to be as divided as people think. The media wants you to think that DeSantis is going to win, and that it's like a 50-50 split, if anything. They did that CPAC poll. He had like 15% of the vote, and Trump had like 40-60 or something. I mean, it was like such a huge chasm between the two of them. So I don't think it's going to be as divided as people think. I think most people are going to support Trump. But I blame DeSantis, like I said, for these issues, these problems.
Well, why do you say that? What do you blame him for?
For running, for running, or even
he's not running.
But yeah, I disagree with you.
Well, he could settle.
He hasn't said he's not running. He's obviously going to run, Brian, or he's feeling the waters here and dying to decide. So any uncertainty, any problems that are occurring now within MAGA are his fault, because he is not coming out and making a declarative statement. I'm running, I'm not running. And I don't like that he's doing this. I don't like that he's teetering and making everybody wonder and sitting back at home with his Jackie Kennedy wife while the press is constantly acting like he's running, and he's not saying that's not true. So clearly he is definitely at least seriously contemplating it. He's raising money. He's taking it. He can't run for governor again. So why else is he raising money? I mean, maybe for 2028. But I blame him for any division or any problems right now, because he should not be running now. He should come out and say, I am not running. I'm waiting. Trump should be the president. I'm going to support him. But he is not doing that. And I don't like that. I think that's a problem.
I agree with you. But there is he
could stop these rumors right now and stop this, any division going on. He can stop. It's in his power to stop it.
There's a big split among MAGA people between Trump and DeSantis. I know a lot of you don't think that there is a split.
Not that
big. And maybe it's just because we're in Florida, but I know there are people who tell me that I've had people tell me that they like DeSantis. And it could be biased because we're in Florida. By the way, that's not me or Kathy. I'm with Trump. Okay? I will always be with President Trump. But I do agree with what you're saying, Kathy. DeSantis could end that. First off, he should not be running. You're right. He should not be running against Trump.
He can end all of this.
And he should be united with Trump. And hopefully he will be. At some point, I think they will be. This isn't going to last forever. I mean, look at when Trump ran the first time, the things he said and did to some of these people that were running against him. And then he ended up being very good friends with them, like little Marco and Lindsey Graham. Remember he gave Lindsey Graham's cell phone number out?
Well, let me tell you something. DeSantis, if you guys thought Trump got nasty the first time around, this is his last hurrah, like he has stated. Mm-hmm. You think he is going to let anything stand in his way?
No way.
It is going to get nastier than you could imagine. And believe me, Trump has it in him. He is not afraid of anything or anybody.
No.
And like that chick on The View that worked for Trump, she said if DeSantis runs, it will destroy his career. She said it'd be the biggest mistake of his life. She said Trump will destroy him. And like I said, if you thought it got nasty with Jeb Bush and them, this is going to be like nothing you've ever seen. Trump he's not going to hold back. And if the two of them end up debating, Trump will absolutely destroy him for many reasons. First of all, he's a much better debater. And second of all, Trump was president. He was president of this country. He has a lot of accomplishments under his belt. And there's a lot of things that can be exposed about DeSantis that might not make him look so good, apparently. And Trump's not going to hold back. He sees DeSantis as a traitor, somebody who's disloyal, somebody he helped get elected that is now stabbing him in the back. That's how Trump sees it. And a lot of people agree with that. So he is not going to handle him with kid gloves. The gloves will be off. I can promise you it'll get very, very nasty for Ron DeSantis.
Well, and you know what? It should. I mean, we got to get this over with. I mean, Ron DeSantis it could not stand up to Trump. Governor DeSantis,
not even close.
Governor DeSantis is very good at being governor, but he's not really faced hardcore opposition. He ran against two weird men, Charlie Crist and Andrew Gillum. They're both weird.
He almost lost to Gillum.
He almost lost. But
without Trump, he would have.
Yeah. And in Florida, he has not really dealt with a lot of political opposition because the state is run by Republicans. Now, we have Democrat counties. Mar-a-Lago is in a very Democrat county, Palm Beach. There's local Democrats here and there that gripe about DeSantis, but they have no power or influence.
No.
Both houses of our legislature have been Republican since 1998. That's why
it's a very friendly government.
That's why it was so easy for him to take over Disney World because he had no opposition in Tallahassee, our state capital. Right. He's never been in a situation as a leader where he's facing opposition like Trump has, and I don't think he's equipped for it. It's not easy.
No, that's what I said a few podcasts ago, that he's had a very friendly government working with him from day one. Mm-hmm. They're all on the same page, and pretty much any bill they put up, he's going to sign. And they're, you could tell they're working which is good. I mean, that's the way it should be. If you're a conservative and you have a conservative governor and they have the legislatures that agree with him, you get a lot of things done. And if you're red and that's the way you want it, that's great. If you're a liberal, you might not like it so much. But I've never seen him really. The only opposition he's really had to deal with is from the press, and he handles that very well. I will say that he's very good with the press. He's extremely intelligent. He's must have a photographic memory. He knows numbers and stats and information like I've never seen, and he rattles it off, and he's always right. So I'm not saying he's incompetent or anything. I think he's extremely competent, but I just don't think he can stand up to Trump in the head-to-head. And, I just don't think it's going to end. Clearly, Trump, whether he's working through himself or through a group like this, and I promise you he's involved in this, he's going to nail him to the wall, and he's not going to hold back.
Yeah. Now, I want to tell you guys about this incredible deal, the MyPillow 3-inch mattress topper 2.0. This is amazing. It is an incredible deal, 40% off and free shipping with our promo code Kane at checkout, Kane. Now, remember, you can take advantage of all the specials at MyPillow.com with our promo code Kane, not just the ones that we talk about. But this MyPillow mattress topper 3.0, this is a big life changer. Mike Lindell just, about a month and a half ago came out with the MyPillow 2.0s with the cooling technology. Yeah, and by the way, those are buy one, get one free with our promo code Kane. And the MyPillow 2.0s with the cooling technology, your head, your face will never be warm, never be hot while you're sleeping. You will never flip your pillow over again. That technology is in this new 3-inch MyPillow mattress topper. And I can't wait to get ours. This is spectacular because it does for your entire body what the MyPillow 2.0 does for your head and your face. Keeps you the perfect temperature all night long, plus gives you that great added support. And not only that, not only the temperature regulation, the 3-inch MyPillow mattress toppers, you don't wake up like sore or crampy or stiff. You wake up perfect because the pressure points of your body are perfectly aligned no matter what way you sleep. I sleep on my back, sometimes on my side. No matter how you sleep, the pressure points are always perfect with the 3-inch mattress topper. You put that together with the cooling technology, you're going to get a night's sleep like you've never experienced before, like you never knew you could have. So go to MyPillow.com, order the MyPillow mattress topper 2.0 with cooling technology. Again, use our promo code Kane at checkout, Kane, 40% off and free shipping. We'll be right back.
Would you like to learn about the world of stock trading and gain the knowledge and skills needed to succeed in the stock market? Then look no further than Stock Trading for Beginners, a complete guide from author Kevin R. Johnson, available on Amazon. This must-read book takes readers through the fundamentals of stock trading, authored by an experienced trader and educator, Kevin R. Johnson. Stock Trading for Beginners is an ideal starting point for anyone who wants to learn the ins and outs of the stock market. Starting with the basics, readers will learn about key terminology and market structure. Then, the book dives deeper into the mechanics of stock trading, covering topics such as technical analysis, fundamental analysis, and risk management. But what sets this book apart is its emphasis on practical strategies and techniques that can be used by beginners to start trading stocks immediately. Whether you're a complete novice or have some experience with stock trading, Stock Trading for Beginners, a complete guide, is an invaluable resource that will help you develop the knowledge, skills, and confidence you need to succeed in the stock market. Order your copy of Stock Trading for Beginners, a complete guide from author Kevin R. Johnson, available in Kindle and paperback on Amazon. Are you tired of bad hair days? Or are you struggling with hair loss? Ready to Hair Wigs has the perfect solution for you. Their faux human hair wigs are made with the best Japanese synthetic fibers, ensuring a natural look and feel. They come in different lengths, colors, and styles. They can even be cut to fit your desired style. Plus, they're ready to wear right out of the box. If you want to change up your look, Ready to Hair Wigs are perfect for that too. Use them as an outfit accessory and take your style to the next level. The wigs are heat resistant, which means you can style them to your heart's content without worrying about damage. Ready to Hair Wigs believe that every woman deserves to feel confident and classy, no matter what. That's why they offer their wigs at affordable prices. So head over to readytohairwigs.com. That's READY, the number 2, HAIRWIGS, readytohairwigs.com. Find them on Instagram and Facebook at readytohair_wigs. Start your wig journey today. readytohairwigs.com. Are you in need of a little self-care and relaxation? Create a cozy mood and unwind with irresistible fragrances from candlesinjunk.com. That's the letter N. Create a cozy mood and unwind with irresistible fragrances from candlesinjunk.com. That's the letter N. They feature a wide variety of scents and products to keep you warm and cozy. Stocked with candles, bath bombs, lotions, essential oils, and more, you're sure to find the perfect match for any occasion. With unbeatable prices, fast shipping, and high-quality candles, there's something waiting for everyone at candlesinjunk.com. They also make great gifts for the candle lover in your life. Don't settle for plain, boring candles and the same old scents. Experience the fun of comfort and relaxation with products from Candles in Junk. That's the letter N.com. Candlesinjunk.com.
You are listening to The Brian Craig Show podcast, broadcasting from sunny South Florida. Brian is joined by his wife and co-host, Kathy. Follow Brian on social media at BrianCraigShow.com. And now, Brian and Kathy.
Welcome back, everyone. I'm Brian, always joined by my wife and co-host, Kathy. Okay, the second gentleman, Kamala's husband, was speaking, and he's talking about abortion, which amazes me because I thought liberals thought that since men can't be pregnant, Well, I guess men can be pregnant now, but in his case they can't. But men aren't supposed to be talking about abortion.
Yes.
And this, I'm going to call BS on this story. I'm going to play this entire clip in its entirety, and then we'll talk about it. But Mr. Kamala Harris here, like Mr. Mariah Carey, Mr. Kamala Harris here is full of it. I don't believe this story at all. But he wants to believe it, and the liberals want to believe it. All right? This is Kamala Harris's husband.
It's totally unacceptable. And now, of course, we hear the stories. We're in Texas, and I met a woman at the State of the Union who was here in Texas, which is one of those states that is trying to roll back not only abortion rights but voting rights and what you can read and what you can think. It's totally unacceptable. And this woman was having a miscarriage, and she sought emergency care. And she was denied that care because of this reprehensible Dobbs decision, and she almost died of sepsis. Thank God she was saved, but there's thousands of those stories right now because of the consequence, and I would say intended consequences. This is all about power. This is all about beating people down, especially women. And it can't stand.
Okay, now let me think of, I don't buy that story. And then she got treatment. So,
first of all, I know people that have had miscarriages. Okay, I know quite a few. A miscarriage is not an abortion, and this whole thing of them aligning a miscarriage with an abortion, it's not fair. I mean, it's not true. It's a totally different situation. A miscarriage is when your body spontaneously ends a pregnancy, and something happens, and that's it. And sometimes it happens early, a little later on. Sometimes you need medical intervention. And a hospital or doctor's not going to deny that because it's not an abortion.
Well, sepsis is an infection, right?
It's an infection in the bloodstream.
It's a serious one. It's deadly.
It's a very serious infection. It's
Mr.
Yeah, let me say real quick before I forget. It's interesting how they're so concerned with oppressing women, but they'll let guys compete in sports, in women's sports. I mean, how does that make sense?
So what I would like to hear from Mr. Kamala Harris here, I kind of like that, Mr. Kamala Harris. Yeah.
Sounds effeminate.
Yeah, he does. Well,
very effeminate.
Well, But the thing here with Mr. Kamala Harris, I want to know this hospital in Texas that has women coming to it that are suffering from serious infections in their body that are deadly and are refusing to treat them.
Liberals make up stories.
So that we can make sure that the people at that hospital are no longer in the medical profession if they're denying life-saving treatment. Now, this thing about, though, abortion and women's rights and the overturning of Roe v. Wade. When Roe v. Wade was ruled on by the Supreme Court in 1973, I want you guys to think about that. That was 50 years ago. Mm-hmm. And back in that time, in the late 60s, abortion became a big deal in the late 60s because during that summer of love, free love, Vietnam War era, good American girls became easy and sleazy.
Guys too. Guys and girls became freer in that regard.
Guys were always wanted to be free sexually, but girls started to. And girls were not being as responsible and were starting to play the field more than they ever did and were getting pregnant more often.
Sure.
But see, things are different now than they were then in a number of reasons. Number one, out-of-wedlock pregnancy is not a thing that has to be hidden like it once was in society in the 60s and 70s and before. Before, if a woman was not married or a girl was not married, she was underage and they were pregnant, that was like a big shameful thing. Mm-hmm. But, I was mentioning earlier today on the show, my mother's adopted, and my mother was born in 1951. And when my grandparents died, she tracked down her birth mother. Her birth mother, who was pregnant in 1951, was not married. And she went and stayed with a family member out of town, had my mother, put her up for adoption, okay? She didn't go out and get one of these back alley abortions, thankfully, or I wouldn't be here.
Right.
But there's no shame with out-of-wedlock pregnancy today like there was in a lot of the country in 1973. That's one thing. So one of the reasons that a lot of people were advocating for abortions is because if a woman was pregnant and she was not married, that could be the end of her life in many situations in many parts of the country. Another thing, 50 years ago, medical technology was much different. And again, In 1973, I was 2, Kathy was 3. But I imagine that people did not realize that there was a life inside the womb as early, with a heartbeat and brain waves like we have now, because the technology did not exist to determine things that we can determine now, okay? Another thing that is different in 2023 than in 1973 is medical technology has advanced so much, not just so that we can detect brain waves and things at an early age and see inside the womb in ways we couldn't. Medical technology exists so that a baby can live much more premature than it could in 1973. So much of what was in the thought process of medical science and the population and the courts back in 1973 is no longer relevant because medical technology has increased light years, and you don't have the social stigma on out of like pregnancy. All kinds of things have changed. So a lot. So if you went back to 1973 and compared it to today, it's a whole nother world. And Supreme Courts overturn things all the time. The Supreme Court ruled that escaped slaves were property and could be returned to their masters, Dred Scott, and later the Supreme Court overruled themselves. Just because the Supreme Court makes a ruling doesn't mean that that's written in stone and will never be overturned or revisited, because things change in our society, they change in technology and things like this. And it's very important. And, the liberals tell you a lie. They and a lot of conservatives think this is true too, because they teach this to us in school in the United States, that the Constitution is a living document that grows and changes with the Constitution is not a living document. It's what it is. That's written in stone. But
they tell people that they tell women that having an abortion is their constitutional right, which is not true. And abortion is a harder sell than it used to be because technology has changed, because there's more options. There's no longer that stigma. So they have to now scare people with stories like this into keeping it around. They didn't have the abortion pill and all these other options going on. But, I'm not really in touch with what's going on with the young people in that regard.
Well, he's a sicko, and he's telling a lie, Mr. Kamala. And the thing that
they're using fear to try to,
What is stopped? There were two things that have resulted in abortion being overturned. One was Donald Trump, of course. Donald Trump overturned Roe v. Wade by these great picks he put on the Supreme Court. And I think his greatest accomplishment, even after a second term, whatever that has ahead of it, will be that he overturned Roe v. Wade, because
that's his greatest accomplishment.
Because he has saved millions of babies' lives forever in this country by doing that.
How many lives has he saved already?
Yeah.
Thousands.
But the second thing that, what was really amazing to me, and this shocked me, when Roe v. Wade was overturned, there was not that much national protest about it. There were these Handmaid's Tale weirdos in D.C., but the population in this country of women of childbearing years, they got that abortion pill. They're against surgical abortion because they got that abortion pill. And there was very little protest against it. So the Democrats don't realize how out of touch with society they are. The country is not in favor of these left-wing abortion ideas that they think are so popular to bring back.
And keep this in mind, the liberals don't care about women's rights because they let men compete in women's sports. This is a voting tool, pure and simple. Abortion has always been a way to get people to vote for them. And if they lose that, they're in trouble, because that's always been a huge issue. The Democrats, like to use these issues to get people to support them because they have no common sense and they never accomplish anything. So they get people to vote for them through these kinds of things. I wanted to show you that James.
Well, let me get to this. So we got some breaking news here, which is pretty exciting.
Yeah, Rome, Wisconsin just told me.
James O'Keefe has announced his future plans after he was tossed out of Project Veritas, and he has launched the O'Keefe Media Group, and it says here platform launching July 4th.
Oh, there you go.
That's not an accidental
go to the website.
No. And it says here on his website, it's got a picture of James O'Keefe, empowering and equipping a movement of thousands of people like you to report things that are wrong with the support of an in-house team of elite journalists to bring factual, unbiased stories to light. So James O'Keefe is back. And that I'm glad to hear that, because I was so afraid that Project Veritas had some contracts with him that would prevent him from working for a while. And that's right around the corner. Maybe it's a short non-compete or something, because July 4th, it's a couple months away. You know, it's not unusual for someone to create an incredible company that, you know, Project Veritas was a media company, and then have it taken over. Steve Jobs was fired by Apple.
Well, he's right, and Papa John's, and he's smart to put his name on the group, because now there's no O'Keefe, there's no O'Keefe Media Group. And I wonder if he had his name on Project Veritas, and if it wasn't called Project Veritas, but called the O'Keefe Media Group, they might have had a lot more trouble getting rid of him, because his name is on the company. Well, so that, I think, is probably why he named it after himself, to be like, nobody's going to get rid of me now because my name is on that's the name of the company. Yeah. So good for him. You can go to the website, just Google it, O'Keefe Media Group. We just got that notification from Rome, Wisconsin. One of our listeners and Patreons, she let us know that just started. So definitely check that out.
No, and you know, Project Veritas is going to fade away. I mean,
absolutely. That's what they want.
What can Project Veritas be without James O'Keefe? And they have soiled their own reputation far beyond any ability to repair it by the way they treated James O'Keefe.
Well, good for him. You can't get,
listen,
can't stop him.
I know people that know James O'Keefe, and I've heard that he's an eccentric guy. I had one person tell me that there's no room for any other personalities at Project Veritas but James O'Keefe.
Who cares? Well, he is Project Veritas.
I am sure that he's a charismatic guy, and he
likes to dance.
Out there.
I know that.
Yeah, he does. He does dance. But he's a big media star, and the only negative thing I think James O'Keefe has going for him is he's too famous now to do undercover journalism himself. He's got to have other people do it.
I'm sure some people will go to his new group from the other.
Oh, donors?
No, I'm sure some of the people that work for him will go to his new company, I would think, that really support him. And he will have no problem getting backers, and he's so well known, and getting support.
Well, you know what I think is going to happen?
Getting information.
We know about his reporting, but we don't really know too much about his methods. That we have, you can pick up a little bit here and there watching his reporting, but I would not be surprised if these O'Keefe haters at Project Veritas leak out to the public how they do their undercover stings. My guess is they have very attractive men and women, gay men and women that are straight, and they find people on the dating apps, Tinder and Grindr. And I think they use Tinder and Grindr to get to these people inside these companies, because they're always dates.
And they all love to brag and talk about.
So whoever they're talking to must be really hot that they're trying to get in bed. Yeah. So and they're trying to impress them with all this information. So my guess is
what he's doing.
That Project Veritas will leak out his methods, and may even leak out the identity of a lot of his undercovers, so that people can be wise to them. I'm telling you.
Hire new people. The only thing he has to worry about, but he's so on top of things, I think he would squash that right away if there was a mole, or if there was somebody that used to work for him. He's a very savvy guy, and he was very upset when they took his company. But, maybe this is what's meant to be. And maybe sometimes starting fresh is a good thing, and wiping the slate clean. You learn from your mistakes, you learn from your successes, and you start over. I think that's how Trump's going to go into the White House when he wins. I think he has perspective now. He'll be able to look back, and he will not go into that office as naive as he did before. And I'm not saying he's a naive person, but the people that were his so-called friends. And he's going to be producing this book soon with all these letters. He said everybody's kissing his ass in these letters. Mm-hmm. And I think he was really surprised how all these people turned on him so quickly. And I think it was a wake-up call for him. And I think when he gets back in, he will go in with a much different perspective than the first time. Yeah. And sometimes that's a good thing to have that perspective. And you go in and start something fresh and new with a totally different outlook.
Mm-hmm. Now, I do want to say, I know we were making fun in the first segment of the show. But if you have something you would like to advertise, a business you would like to promote of any kind, get in touch with us and let us know. And if you send an email, Kathy gets the emails, okay, and goes through these. But she shows them to me and we talk about them. If you have anything you would like to advertise on the program, go to my website, briancraigshow.com, and you can send us an email there. And when you email us there, if you could tell us not only your contact information, how to reach out to you, but tell us what it is you want to advertise. And if there's a website connected to it, send that link so we can look over it.
Or another way to support the program is become a Patreon, patreon.com/RealBrianCraigShow. If you don't have anything to advertise, but you just want to financially support the show, which helps us a lot, then you can do that
Absolutely.
too. Make a monthly donation and get the perks with that. We have a lot of Patreons. They're fantastic. We have some that have been with us for a long time, and we really, really appreciate all of you guys. It really does mean a lot. I mean, even just the listeners in general, we appreciate all of you. But if you're a Patreon, it's really appreciated. You don't have to do that, and it's a really nice way to support us and the show.
And you can see a lot of our Patreon supporters. We're in contact regularly. Rome, Wisconsin is one of our Patreon supporters.
Yeah, we'll talk to you all the time.
And she just sent a text message to Kathy with this story on James O'Keefe. And I talk to Patreon supporters all the time too. In fact, I was talking to one this morning at like 5:30 this morning.
Yeah, you have a lot more access to us.
That's right.
The show and behind the scenes and things like that.
Yeah, so if you don't have a business, if you don't have something to advertise, you can become a Patreon supporter. There are benefits to that other than supporting all the content, which is very good content, I think. You also, as a patron, have access to commercial-free editions of all the podcast episodes, which is a big perk. And our top Patreon supporters get a live on-air thank you shout-out on every podcast episode. So these are the names that you'll hear now of our top Patreon supporters. I want to thank Andrew and Connie, Christine, ETW, Chuck, D, Pamela, Rick, Nick, Wesley, Macho, Rome, Wisconsin, Mike P, Paulette, and Carlos. And our Patreon link is in the description of the episode on whatever platform you're listening to us on. And there's also a link on my website, briancraigshow.com. We'll be right back.
Have you ever said to yourself, I can't work and deal with home? Or, that manager's crazy, I'm not doing that. How about this one? These late hours are so stressful. Does anyone else's spouse do this? If you've had any of these thoughts, yep, we hear you. Tune into the Coffee with Christopher podcast on Spotify. Host Christopher Gentry and his guest open up about their unique experiences with work and in life and share the lessons they've learned along the way. Each episode feels like a heart-to-heart conversation, over coffee, of course. If you're ready to connect with the community of people sharing compelling stories, join Coffee with Christopher on Spotify and discover the power of sharing your story. Are you struggling to connect with your teen? Are you worried about the troubles your teen is facing in today's world? Don't miss out on the ultimate guide to faith-led parenting with the book from Script Seeds, Parenting Teens Through Faith, available on Amazon. Parenting Teens Through Faith is your essential handbook to raising confident, resilient, and empowered teenagers. This book provides practical advice for providing a strong, faith-based foundation for building character, virtues, and resilience in your teen. You'll also discover essential biblical principles for providing hope and confidence, no matter your faith background. Start building a stronger, more resilient family with Parenting Teens Through Faith, available in Kindle, paperback, and hardcover editions on Amazon. This book is perfect for church groups. Order your copy right now. Are you a passionate baker dreaming of turning your hobby into a profitable business? Then I have great news for you. The new book, Baking for Profit by Nikkei Magiconomy, is the ultimate guide to starting and running a successful and profitable baking business. This book covers everything you need to know to make your baking business a success, from creating a brand identity to starting on a tight budget to costing and pricing right and expansion and growth. With over 15 years of experience in the baking industry, Nikkei shares valuable insights and practical tips to help you avoid common pitfalls and achieve your goals. Whether you're just starting out or looking to take your existing bakery business to the next level, Baking for Profit is the resource you need. You'll learn how to create repeat customers, market your business, and much more. Don't miss out on this opportunity to turn your passion for baking into a profitable business. Order your copy of Baking for Profit today on Amazon to learn more. Remember, with Baking for Profit, you'll have the tools you need to succeed in the competitive world world of baking.
You are listening to the Brian Craig Show podcast, broadcasting from sunny South Florida. Brian is joined by his wife and co-host, Kathy. Follow Brian on social media at briancraigshow.com. And now, Brian and Kathy.
Welcome back, everyone. I'm Brian, always joined by my wife and co-host, Kathy. So Friday, I'm driving to Georgia from Florida, and I have not driven out of Florida in a long time. I've been out of Florida quite a bit, but I haven't actually gotten into the car and driven across the Florida border in, oh goodness, over 20 years, maybe 20 years, maybe more.
Last time we went to Atlanta was...
We didn't go to Atlanta by car. I'm talking about actually driving. I'm going to be driving up I-95. I'm talking about like leaving Florida by car. I've left Florida by car if you count driving to the airport or to the seaport for a cruise.
Yeah.
And this is my first time leaving Florida by car, I think, since before we were married.
Yeah.
I don't think I've left Florida by car in about 30 years. This is an unusual thing to do. And I'm only going to South Georgia. And I'll tell you guys what I'm doing when I get back. It's a cool thing. It's a fun thing. But, you know, what's really going to tick me off when I come back to Florida is I really think that the signs when you enter Florida should say you are now entering the sunshine state of Florida, home to the 45th president of the United States,
agree.
Donald John Trump. Or it could say you are now entering the sunshine state of Florida, home to the 45th and 47th president of the United States, Donald J. Trump. But I don't think
should have a road named after him by now. Is there a Trump Boulevard or a Trump Avenue? There should be.
But it really should be on the signs when you enter and leave Florida.
Yeah.
And the fact that it's not kind of ticks me off.
Yeah.
The turnpike in Florida is named the Ronald Reagan Turnpike. And the Florida legislature, when the Republicans first took over in the 90s, did that. And people were like, why did they? But there is one road, Highway 27, which runs through the entire state of Florida. And it runs, from Miami all the way up to the Panhandle. And there is talk of naming that after President Trump. It's not a road we travel on too much.
No, maybe that's why.
But it's
a little road.
But it covers the entire state of Florida. So that would be nice.
Trump needs a big road. He's a big person. Let's just name I-95 after him.
Well, that's a federal road, so they can't do that. But
he needs a bigger road than that.
That's the Dwight D. Eisenhower Interstate Highway System. It's named after General Eisenhower.
That.
Yeah. But I think DeSantis, should have Trump's name on the signs entering and leaving Florida. But that's,
I agree.
I will. Maybe when I see the sign, I'll be pleasantly surprised. Now, the Democrats.
I doubt it.
President Carter's in hospice, and he's not expected to live much longer. And I saw some video of him this morning. I couldn't even hardly watch it. And the Democrats are so out of touch with the American people. They could not be more out of touch. They got a lot of these young wokesters that work for them. You would think they would get them up to speed, but the Democrat Party is really run by a bunch of old timers. And they have a plan.
Old hippies.
Yeah. And of course, it came out a couple days ago that Jimmy Carter requested that Joe Biden eulogize him at his funeral. And the funeral is expected to be, could be any time. He's been in hospice for a couple weeks now, President Carter. And what the Democrats and the media are planning is a massive presidential funeral, which we've not really had in a long time. I know HW, but this is going to be like, This one's going to be so overblown.
Well, especially if Biden's
because
involved.
He's a Democrat. They want to prop up Biden.
Yeah.
And a couple things about this, and I'll throw this out to you guys. Will they allow President Trump to come to President Carter's funeral and sit with the other presidents? Will they? You think they'll? And if they don't invite him, will he just show up? I think he should. I think he should be invited, and if he's not, he should just show up.
He should go, and sometimes he's canceled himself. Like, he never went to the Kennedy honors, which I didn't agree with him doing that. He didn't go.
No, he didn't go to McCain's funeral, which was understandable.
But he also didn't go to the Kennedy honors because a lot of people wouldn't take the award if he went. He should have said, screw him, I'm going. I don't want him canceling himself. And he does that sometimes where he's like, well, I'm not going to go.
But McCain was different.
He should go no matter what.
That's right.
And he is a president, and he should go no matter what. He should not say, I'm not going to go, and he should make them uncomfortable and go to it and screw everybody.
And, another thing, too.
He deserves to be there like all the other presidents.
These other presidents we have don't acknowledge that Trump was a president. They really don't.
That's how they rationalize
in their mind,
it in their mind.
They tell themselves that.
Yeah.
But no, I think President Trump should go, even if he's told not to go. Even if he's not invited and told not to go, I think he should go to President Carter's funeral. The other thing about this with President Carter, the Democrats, I know we had HW, and all that, but that wasn't really that big of a thing. McCain had like 12 funerals. Remember that? It went on forever. But
he wasn't even a president.
No. But HW wasn't that big of a deal. The last big presidential funeral, I mean, like a really big one, I think was Richard Nixon. When Richard Nixon's funeral happened, it was at his library, which Kathy and I went to.
Yeah, it's really nice.
That was a big one. President Clinton was there. Even Spiro Agnew, his vice president they got rid of, was there.
I think they're going to make a big deal out of this one.
But Jimmy Carter's funeral, it's going to be like the Queen of England.
And they're going to rewrite history with him.
Well, it's going to be this will probably be the biggest production of a presidential funeral that any of us have seen in our lifetimes, because a lot of these things happened before we were, there were some big ones before we were alive.
And they're going to talk about how wonderful, they're not going to talk about how much everybody hated him.
So what they're going to do is they're going to try to use Jimmy Carter's funeral to discount Trump and prop up Biden. This is what they don't understand. 80% or more of the country probably were not even alive when he was president. Kathy and I I'm 51. Kathy's 52.
Mm-hmm.
I remember him being president vaguely. I mean, I remember things like people talking about peanuts because he was the peanut farm.
Oh, I remember waiting in line for gas for hours with my mom and her cursing him the whole time.
And I remember him being president, but it's kind of vague and a blur, because so long ago at our age, he's a blur. I do remember seeing him debating Ronald Reagan. I do remember seeing him debate President Ford when I was but it was just a blur, and people don't care about Jimmy Carter. He was a one-term president who had no major accomplishment other than putting the Islamics in charge of Iran. He blew that.
His presidency was a disaster.
All this
gas shortages, everything. It was a disaster. He had hostages.
He humiliated us with the hostages. Yeah. Because of him, the Ayatollah took over Iran, and I know there was terrorism before that, but not like we've had since. All this Islamic terrorism that we've had, all the 9/11, all that stuff, is because of his failure. People don't remember him. Mm-hmm. The ones that do remember the gas lines and the terrible president he was, and it's going to be this massive thing, like when Queen Elizabeth passed away, almost, and it's going to seem bizarre. People are going to be like, who is this guy? Or I don't remember him, or he was an embarrassment, or he was a failure. This thing's going to backfire so much on them. I remember this was crazy. Let me tell you what a mediocre president he was. This was a crazy thing I saw once. I used to watch C-SPAN a lot when I was younger. I had a lot of time on my hands, I guess. I was watching C-SPAN, and Bill Clinton had just become president. And this was, if it was not Inauguration Day, it was Inauguration Week of his first term. And he was going to make, if not his first, it might have been his first, but it was his first or second press briefing, President Clinton in the White House press briefing room. President Carter was there walking around the press room. I'm watching on C-SPAN, and he was leaning up, the whole press corps there. And President Clinton wasn't even out yet. President Carter was standing in the corner, leaning up against a wall, all by himself. Nobody even bothered to talk to him. If I saw President Carter there, and he was a much younger man, I'd go, "Hey, President Carter," he had no one else to. Nobody even said hello to him. He's such an insignificant person. So when they have this big pageantry around him, people are going to be like, "Huh?" It's.
Well, let's see what happens.
I know they're planning something big because they leaked this thing out about Biden eulogizing him.
Yeah.
The Democrat Party. The success of the Democrat Party of the past is that as wrong. They were always wrong about everything, and they're terrible people. Okay, no doubt about it. I don't have to go through a list. You guys know slavery, internment of Americans of Japanese descent, the Tuskegee experiments, everything negative in this country's history. They brought us. Okay, so they were always wrong about everything. But the one thing Democrats always had going for them is they were always viewed as hipsters, like the Rock the Vote MTV thing, who felt the pulse of the young people and of the American people. Now they're a bunch of old gray-haired, old senile old coots like Biden and Pelosi. They're out of touch. Their youngest supporters are like Madonna now, and they're out of touch with the pulse of the American people. For example, what they're about to do is going to cause probably some of the biggest inflationary period we've ever had, these bank bailouts that they're setting up for. Inflation's already out of control because of the Ukraine, right? They're going to drive inflation up so high, and they think that people don't mind. They don't understand. Like we were talking yesterday about this war in Ukraine. They're pushing us to World War III. They actually think that the American people are behind this war in Ukraine against Russia. The American people want nothing to do with it. The Democrat Party has never been so out of touch with the pulse of the American people. And when you lose touch with the pulse of the American people, you're a loser. And it's Trump and MAGA and that have the pulse of the American people right there with their fingers. Do they care?
I don't think they care, Brian.
The reason they don't
give a damn.
No, the reason they don't care is because they don't know they've lost it. Okay, I'll give you an example. Okay, you had mentioned it earlier. Mr. Kamala Harris there is talking about women's rights while the Democrats are oppressing women's rights by letting these guys in the women's sports.
Yeah.
People are against that. Finally.
I agree with you. I agree that most of the country has common sense.
Yeah.
But I don't think these people give a damn.
They don't know that they're out of touch.
Maybe.
They think they're in touch with reality.
Well, they live in a big bubble.
Now, this other bank this other failed bank, Signature Bank, it's come out that they gave $73 million to Black Lives Matter.
Oh my goodness.
Now let me tell you something.
Wait a minute.
$73 million.
Whose money is that they're donating?
The bank's money. It's a business. They got money to donate. But now they're going to get
but they get their money from the people that put money in the bank.
Now they failed, so they're going to get bailed out by the taxpayers. So that's, eventually what is going to happen, and Marjorie Taylor Greene, she's been talking about, she hasn't been successful with it yet, but she wants to audit all of the funding to Ukraine. Eventually, there's going to be a national audit of everything the Democrats have done for the past couple of years during this entire Biden regime. There are so many financial crimes going on. This is just one bank that gave BLM $73 million. Remember they had that whole real estate scam?
I'm waiting for the House to start investigating these things. Didn't they just ask for Biden's finances?
The Biden's in big trouble.
They're dragging their heels.
Well, what the Republicans are doing in the House, I think, is pretty smart. Instead of having 83 investigations, they're having a couple so people are focused.
Okay.
They just got Biden's family finances, and they said that there's a female member of the family that somebody will let me know, but I think it was a $10 or $11 million payoff from somebody, and it's a member that has not previously been named. So I know it's one of two people. It's either Joe Biden's sister or Ashley Biden. It's probably the sister, because Ashley Biden, like Hunter, is a big drug addict, and you give her $10 million, and it's, But Biden's sister has run every one of his not just his presidential campaigns, but every one of his Senate campaigns, going back to the first one. So Joe Biden's sister is up to her eyeballs in the financial scandals.
The whole family, it's like the Sopranos here.
They're a family of criminals.
Yeah.
So, and I think it's smart for them to have fewer investigations, so people are laser. If you have too many balls in the air, things get lost.
So they need to pick what's the most important.
Well, what's most important, I think, is there's a lot of them that are important. And I hate to say one, but Peter Schweitzer, who wrote Clinton Cash, he said,
"Oh yeah, that's a really."
He said all these politicians in Washington are involved in these scams. This is before Biden was president, right? But Peter Schweitzer says nobody has done it to the level of Joe Biden. Joe Biden has more family members involved in scams than any other person in Washington ever has, according to Schweitzer. So focusing in on his financial crimes is a very smart thing. I'll just say this before we go. I was talking on the show yesterday, and this is a very important point. This World War III they're pushing us in is so that Biden can steal money from the Ukraine funding. Think about it. He is taking us to war so that his son Hunter can pay for his drugs and hookers for the rest of his life and not have to worry about paying for them. I mean, think about it. That's how sleazy this guy is. And I think when this committee that's looking into his financial dealings, as bad as we know and as scummy as we know Joe Biden is, I don't think we know much at all about how scummy he is. I think we know a little grain of salt grain of sand in the hourglass of his scandals and his scummery or scumduggery, whatever.
Scummery.
And when they start going through his financial records, and we find everything this Joker's been involved in, I think everyone will be shocked. Everyone, how bad it is, and it has to be done. Hey guys, we're out of time, but we will be back next time. I'm Brian Craig, always joined by my wife and co-host Kathy. Thanks for tuning in.